Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Today's video, we're going to go over the new fusion news that just got dropped today. This is the upcoming fusion that we have up for grabs. Wight, Queen, Ankora? Anyway, it's going to be a night rev. Let's jump into her kit and let's talk about everything about her. There's also going to be a partner to her. That partner is not going to be part of fusion, of course. So similar to how Cupidus, Venus, Roto, Sifi type of theme going on. So of course for Valentine's Day and stuff. But her partner is also very interesting. So we'll go over everything in this video. Let's jump right into it. All right, so here is the new fusion. It's going to be a Fragment fusion, and it's going to drop on February 8th, so next Thursday. I kind of guessed it was going to be next week. I mean, it's pretty obvious based on Plarium schedule, so it's nothing too surprising. Obviously the time in between the fusions have been filled up with like other events, so Plarium's been doing a really good job at keeping us really busy and obviously keeping our resources really low. But anyways, this is Wight, Queen, Ankora, so I would think, somewhat like an undead-ish theme, but she's actually a Night Revenant. She's a magic support champion, so interesting. Night Rev does have some pretty good supports like Rector Draft, but having a much stronger support for that faction I think would be pretty good. They have a pretty big faction too. So her A1 has a 30% chance up to 50% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random enemy skill, ally skill by 2 turns. So it can, the thing is it's random, so you can't really use it for like a tuned team, for example, but it's a nice little bonus. If she's with her partner, Wight King Narcis, then and is on the same team and has any active skills on cooldown, decrease the cooldown of one of their skills by 2 turns. So I think this is with Narcis only. If Wight King Narcis is on the same team and has no active skills on cooldown, decrease the cooldown of a random ally's skill by 2 turns, except for this champion. So basically it's the same as her basically, what is the bonus here? If is on the same team, has no active skills, decrease the cooldown of a random ally skill by 2 turns. Decrease the random cooldown around. So if Narcis has no active skills on cooldown, then her A1 is the same. But if Narcis has active skills, then her A1 ability will target Narcis only. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, if you compare it to like, I think the obvious comparison here is like Terrace Marichka. So Marichka's A1 will always send Taras in with the A1 if Taras is on the same team. So this one, I don't think this is as strong as Marichka's A1, but since Marichka's A1 can be strong on the first turn, whereas this requires a couple turns of activity for it to get full value. But we will see. I don't think it's going to be insanely crazy or anything, but it's decent. If the cooldown of a skill is fully reset, also heals the ally by 10% of the max HP. Okay, so there is a little extra there, which is kind of nice. That is kind of nice. All right, so let's see. Shield of Ameria removes all debuffs, so cleanse from all allies. Great. Places a shield on them equal to 25% of this champion's max HP. Great. 100k Wight Queen means 25k shields. That's really strong. If Wight King Narcis is on the same team, also places a strengthen on all allies, then fills turn meter by 10% on all allies. That's pretty strong. I mean, you got a 3-turn cleanse booked with the shield, and obviously the combo bonus. You get strengthen as well, which is really, really good. I think the turn meter fill happens regardless if Narcis is on the team. So the turn meter fill always happens, and then Narcis gives the strengthen buff. Yeah, this is a really solid 3-turn cleanse with additional bonuses. So shield bonus and then the turn meter fill. Very, very strong. Almost like void level power. Like the one that I'm thinking about is like cardio. Cardio is a 3-turn cleanse with the block debuff and a revive on death. He's a void legendary, but like this is very strong as well. Okay, and her A3, Rise My Love, 3-turn cooldown with 2 books. Revives a dead ally. Single target revive, 50% HP, 75% turn meter. Resets the cooldown of the revived ally skill. That's very nice. If the target is Wight King Narcis, revive them with 75% HP and 100% turn meter instead. Very nice. After revival, decrease the turn meters of all enemies by 10%. That's a small reduction, but it could be the difference in getting a turn first. If Wight King Narcis is revived, decrease the turn meters of all allies by 20%. Instead, the effect cannot be resisted. So it looks like she needs some accuracy in her kit, right? Obviously, if you want to do any of the turn meter stuff, I guess for this one, she needs accuracy. The other ones are for team, so you don't need to build accuracy for her for team buffing. Yeah, I guess it's not a big deal. It's a very small bonus for 10%, so maybe forgo accuracy altogether. But there's a single target revive with the cooldown resets. It's not as good as like Sifi, for example, since Sifi is like full turn meter and then gives the buffs as well. But the turn meter, the revives, the resets on the cooldowns are actually really nice, especially if you need to reset like a reviver to pick up your team. Okay, her last move, A4. 3-turn cooldown, books to 0 turns. Oh, this is a passive. Books to 0 turns. Whenever an enemy tries to place fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, all the hard CC stuff on an ally with debuff on the ally with the highest crit damage, transfer those debuffs to this champion instead. Okay. Fills the turn meter of this champion by 50% if this champion misses their turn due to one of the debuffs. Okay, so some recovery there. At the start of this champion's turn, remove any hard CC from this champion if the Wight King is on the same team. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. So basically, she protects your nuker from any hard CC. So she protects her nuker from any hard CC. She has 50% turn meter to help her recover from the hard CC. And if it's Wight King that is getting hard CC'd, he's protected. And then she is cleansed on her turn. Okay. And it books down to 0. So it could happen every turn. So, I mean, if you think about it as like, if you put her in the same talk as like Sifi and Rhodos, Rhodos gets full cleanse, right? No matter what, if Sifi's on the team. So he can never be CC'd. So this is like similar, but not as good, right? Because Rhodos has no condition, or no condition with the full cleanse. This has some condition. So obviously, Wight King needs to have the most crit damage. And yeah, I mean, it's not as good, but it's very good. And it has a cooldown too, which is not as good as Sifi and Rhodos, of course. Speed in all battles by 19%, very reasonable. But I think, honestly, even by herself, without the Night King on the Wight King on the same team, she is actually very good. Single target revive, 3-turn cooldown, 3-turn cleanse, team cleanse, very strong. And then the A1 with the reduction on ally skills. Very good. But she is made, it seems she is made to be with the partner. The partner bonuses are very strong on her. So let's jump into the partner. This is the Fragment fusion that we're going to be up for grabs, but her partner is the one that's actually very interesting as well. So let's jump into that. All right, so here it is. Wight King Narcis. Realize I'm blocking some of the text, but yeah, so he is a Void legendary for a Night Rev faction. So same faction as the Wight Queen. He's a Void legendary, so Void HP based nuker. Of course, when we think of Void HP based nuker right now, it's going to be Taras. So how is this guy going to be compared to Taras? Is A1 Corruption Scepter. It attacks one enemy, has 30% chance of randomly increasing a cooldown of one of the target's skills by 2 turns. That's really nice. Obviously, any kind of lockout effect is going to be very strong. Looks like 4 books. Goes up to 50% chance on his A1. This effect cannot be resisted if Wight Queen is on the same team. So obviously you don't want to build accuracy on your nuker if you can help it. With the Wight Queen, he does not need accuracy to have this effect, and it's irresistible. So very, very nice. A1. A2, Desecration Blast. 4-turn cooldown down to 3 turns with 20% damage from books. AoE, ignores 25% of the target's defense. Very strong. Places extra hit on targets under shield or strengthen debuff. That is kind of massive. That is kind of massive because obviously, like most arena teams nowadays, they're starting off with a shield, with the shield. Sometimes you have multiple shield champions on the same team. So shields last the full duration of 3 turns. If he gets his AoE off, it's going to be a double hit. It's a 25% ignore damage, ignore defense. So it's going to be a big hit, most likely, if his multipliers aren't totally gutted. Strengthen buffs. So that's going to be targeting somebody like Necrit. Necrit or Necrit protected buffs of buff champions, of course. Damage inflicted by this skill cannot be decreased by enemy passive skills or masteries. So the biggest thing would be like Rotos passive, Harma passive, Taras passive. So this move counters all of those passives. It doesn't affect on bosses. That's fine. Damage inflicted by the skill cannot be increased by either this champion's masteries or ally passive skills. Okay, so he has a little bit of a drawback there, but he's going to be somebody you bring in against those types of champions with those passives that keep them alive. So it's incredibly strong, and he already has some built-in ignore defense in his skill, and then he has a double hit on this skill most likely. If his multipliers are anywhere in the realm of, let's say, 4x, it's probably going to be worse than 4x. If it's, I would say, around 3.5x, then he gets a double hit, and it's going to be a 7x hit, AoE hit. It's going to be a massive AoE. So, you know, that should get people a little bit excited about this move. It's kind of what Karato has. Karato is the Shadowkin Spirit Affinity attack-based nuker. That kind of counters Harma, but it's kind of what he has. But, of course, Wight King Narcis is a Void Legendary. So... and if he has half decent multipliers with the ignore defense, this guy is going to pump. So very excited for this. It's A3 Spirits Claim You. This one's also a very exciting move, actually. 4-turn cooldown, 20% damage in books. Attack one enemy twice. Single target hit. Increases damage inflicted by the skill by 10% for each buff on the target. So it's going to kill protected champions. Kill champions that have lots of buffs on them, up to 50%. So it does have a cap. And an additional 10% for each buff on this champion. So you can benefit from buffs on your champions, and then you can take out a protected champion on their side as well. You have a cap up to 100% additional damage. It's funny because Taras has no cap on his buff addition, and his buff addition is, I believe, is 15% per buff. So you can see how the difference kind of stacks up there in terms of how they compare. If this target kills a target under 3 or more buffs, place block revive. That's really nice. So the more buffs you have on an enemy, if this champion kills that enemy, you can just shut that enemy down with the block revive. Also grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy with the White Queen on the same team. Very exciting. Similar to like a charged up like Rotos, right? Rotos can kill somebody, get back another move. This is a double hit as well, and it has obviously scaling multipliers with the buffs on enemies and buffs on himself. Yeah, it's a very powerful move. Again, the multiplier is gonna make or break this guy. So it's exciting, but we'll see. I mean, there's lots of kits that read exciting, but it's going to come down to the multipliers. So. Mantle of Undeath, his passive. This champion will receive 50% less damage when attacked by enemies, including bosses and their minions, out of their active turn. So it's basically the same as Taras, right? Taras has 50% damage mitigation. This guy has 50% damage mitigation outside of their active turn. So outside of his turn, makes sense, he will take 50% less damage from all enemies. Absolutely insane. If White Queen is on the same team, this champion will receive no damage when attacked by enemies out of their turn. Is that kind of doesn't make sense busted? Does that kind of doesn't make sense busted? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me how busted that pair can be. This effect cannot be applied against bosses and their minions. Fine. This champion skills will also ignore shield and strengthen buffs. So his passive allows him to straight up ignore shield and strengthen. Yeah, I mean he is, and then he's a battle increase ally HP in all battles with 33%. So better passive than like Taras, which is like crit rate, for example. Um, I mean, if you compare this with Marichka, Taras, and White King, White Queen, I don't know. It's a pretty compelling argument. I think they definitely made something very interesting. I think Marichka is probably better than White Queen, but White Queen is also a fragment fusion. Um, I don't know. I think anybody that's going to be interested in Arena should go for White Queen, the fusion, in the odd case event that they actually pull White King from a Void Shard. Because he is a Void Legendary, you're not going to get him most likely, unless you have, obviously endless amounts of Void Shards. But even then, I think this champion, on first glance, looks very impressive. Obviously, way more impressive than the fusion, the White Queen. But the White Queen is a very good champion by herself. So if you guys are on the fence about this fusion, I think you guys should definitely go for it. I think she's very solid by herself. She has speed in all battles aura as well, which makes her usable in many, many teams. She has single target revive. She has a team cleanse, which is really, really good. Her A1's kind of underwhelming if she's by herself, I think. But you can probably find some use for her eventually down the line as well. Both of them, you don't really need to build accuracy in, which is kind of nice. It's going to make it good for like more early mid-game builds. So you can forego accuracy on both of them, of course. But yeah, I definitely think this is a little bit of a hype couple, but it's going to come down to the multiplier. So hopefully we'll get that information sometime in the next couple days, and we can share that with you guys as well. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I mean, for me, I'm super hyped for the White King. I mean, he looks very strong. Is he going to be the new Taras? We'll see, right? But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you guys are going for the White Queen Ankora, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.